If you're looking for a moment of political satisfaction, you'll want to stay for this entire update, guys. Donald Trump has taken a spectacular nosedive. Not only has he been hit with one of the biggest Democratic victories, but his public standing is collapsing faster than ever. Trump is unraveling politically and personally as chaos engulfs his inner circle. His so-called comeback, as it were, guys, strategy is crumbling in real time. While Democrats, celebrate major wins, Trump's attempts to manipulate the midterms and undermine democracy have exploded in his face. One of the key intimidation tactics, something he had hoped would sabotage democratic success, has already backfired in humiliating fashion. And this isn't about Proposition 50, guys. It's even worse for him. We'll get into all of it, the breaking developments that have Trump scrambling for cover, the failed plots, and the democratic momentum that's leaving him in political ruins. But first, if you're enjoying seeing accountability finally catch up with Trump and want to support independent coverage, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really does help in supporting our work. Okay. Now, before diving into the breaking updates out of Virginia and beyond, let's start with Trump's failed scare strategy. A desperate, fear-based plan that blew up in his face the moment it was exposed. And yes, we'll also talk about the, major Democratic victories that are sending shockwaves through his camp all the way down to the bottom.
The president posted on True Social that the voting underway in California is, quote, rigged. What evidence does he have of that, and what does it mean that mail-in ballots in that state are under legal and criminal review? By whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
It's becoming painfully obvious that Donald Trump's main objective was to test drive yet another one of his intimidation schemes, a desperate attempt to scare voters and undermine democracy, guys. He openly floated the idea of launching legal and criminal reviews of ballots. The ballots cast in California, a thinly veiled threat to, meant to cast doubt on legitimate elections. Reports also suggest that Trump was even boasting about dispatching his loyal enforcers to cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, trying to bully the system into submission. This isn't new behavior from him, guys. It's the same old Trump playbook of fear, lies, and authoritarian theatrics, now failing spectacularly on a national scale. Now, this is despite his efforts to sow chaos, amongst the voters which showed up, and his tactics are falling flat. Even California Governor Gavin Newsom refused to let Trump's allies spread misinformation unchecked. He swiftly and sharply dismantled the false claims made by Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, exposing the dishonesty at the core of their campaign. Now, all of this underscores just how badly Trump is floundering. His threats aren't just landing, they're not just landing, his lies are also being called out in real time. And the walls are closing in as he loses control over the very narrative he once dominated. Falsely claiming widespread voter fraud in California and pretending Trump's intimidation efforts are legitimate. None of this is true. What is true is that Trump's scare tactics have already imploded, guys, fully. His desperate attempts to bully voters have backfired spectacularly, especially as Democrats score major victories, especially the Mondani one, as we're all aware of. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger's stunning win is political earthquake, guys. Now, Governor-elect, she flipped the state from a red to a blue, a devastating blow to Trump's influence. This is the same time Trump, who has spent years attacking federal workers in Virginia and lashing out at the state simply for being close to Washington, D.C. Now he faces a leader who won't back down, someone who represents competence, integrity, and progress. Everything Trump fears and despises, guys. Spanberger's opponent, I believe it was Winsome Sears, yeah, a far-right MAGA extremist, wasn't just defeated, she was obliterated at the polls. Voters saw through her chaos and Trump-style theatrics. Her humiliating loss doesn't just end her campaign as well. It ripples across other races, signaling a broader rejection of Trumpism itself. This victory means Virginia's governor's mansion, is once again in Democratic hands, paving the way for fair, redistricting and progressive reforms. Virginia is pushing back, Maryland is pushing back, and California is gearing up for some more Democratic wins as well, including key developments around Prop 50. Now, meanwhile, Trump is nowhere to be found. No rallies, no public events, nothing. He's nowhere to be seen, guys. His handlers are keeping him far out of sight as much as possible, as his numbers are cratering. Even Fox News, his long-time propaganda machine, is being forced to report how rapidly his support is collapsing. Trump's silence isn't strategy, guys. It's clear surrender.
Polling-wise, he's doing very poorly on the economy. Now, there may be reasons for this, but I will just say the averages from Real Clear Politics, okay, on the economy, Mr. Trump is underwater 41.54, 13 points underwater. And on inflation, again, the average of Real Clear Politics, and there are a lot of good polls inside that average, he's underwater by 25 points, 61% disapprove, 36% approve.
Donald Trump's poll numbers have sunk so low that even Fox News, his longtime megaphone, can't hide it anymore, guys. They're openly admitting what's been obvious for months. Trump's political stock is in free fall. Everywhere he turns, he's met with defeat and humiliation. Behind closed doors, he's reportedly seething, isolated and lashing out. You can imagine that, guys, yeah? A man watching his influence evaporate in real time. If you needed a reason to smile, guys, these are your times. Democratic surge is delivering it clearly, and the best part, the wave isn't stopping. From New Jersey to New York City, guys, it's happening. Pennsylvania to Georgia and California, still people are coming out and getting the job done. These victories aren't just about rejecting Trump's toxic band of politics either, guys. They're about reaffirming what the Democratic Party stands for. Progress, compassion, and tangible solutions for ordinary people, which are clearly possible, obviously not under Trump. The candidates leading this change aren't, timid establishment figures. They're bold leaders ready to fight back against Trumpism, while pushing for a real change in affordability, justice, and equality. One of the most inspiring examples of all of this, guys, is Zohran Mamdani, clearly, whose campaign has drawn people from across the political spectrum, even disillusioned former Trump voters with a message of hope and action, which has changed their mind. That's the real story, guys. People are turning away from that Trump's division, which is created, unfortunately, and towards politics, and actually, which builds something better. This is what momentum looks like. Zohran has started that. Trump's administration is deeply unpopular now, and Americans are waking up to that reality. As journalist Lawrence O'Donnell always pointed out in this video as well coming up, Trump's poll numbers aren't just bad, they're actually catastrophic. And for anyone who believes in democracy, accountability, and decency, that's something worth celebrating.
Well, you are not alone tonight in this country if you disapprove of Donald Trump's presidency. A new poll finds the highest disapproval number that Donald Trump has ever had. If you disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing as president, you are joined by 63% of Americans in that disapproval. That is 1 percentage point higher than the disapproval Donald Trump achieved in the same poll in the second week of January 2021 after he told a Trump-supporting mob to go to the Capitol and fight like hell. More Americans disapprove of Donald Trump tonight than they did after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And you are not alone tonight if you disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of the government shutdown. You are part of the 61% majority who disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of the government shutdown. You are not alone tonight if you blame Donald Trump for worsening economic conditions. 61% blame Donald Trump's policies for worsening economic conditions. You are not alone tonight in this country if you think the country is moving in the wrong direction. According to a new ABC News poll, 2/3 of the country believes that. 67% say the country is moving in the wrong direction. ABC News notes majorities of Americans in urban, suburban, and rural areas say the country is moving in the wrong direction, as well as those with varying levels of education and income. That is a powerful polling result in a country that usually has significant differences between urban, suburban, and rural areas, and significant differences in polling among varying levels of education and income. But majorities of Americans in all of those categories believe the country is moving in the wrong direction. So you are not alone, no matter where you live in this country, if you think Donald Trump is moving the country in the wrong direction. In that same ABC News poll, 64% of Americans say Trump is going too far in trying to expand the power of the presidency. In 288 days in the presidency this time, Donald Trump has managed to unify the country in disapproval of him. The ABC News poll shows majorities of Americans also disapprove of how Trump is handling every issue measured in the poll. Over 6 in 10 disapprove of how Trump is handling tariffs, the economy, and managing the federal government. About 6 in 10 disapprove of how he is handling the situation involving Russia and Ukraine and relations with other countries. More than half disapprove of how he is handling immigration, crime, and the situation with Israel and Gaza. He does not have approval from most Americans on a single issue measured. Donald Trump is losing the American people on every single issue. The ABC News poll also shows, quote, majorities of Americans also say Trump is going too far, trying to expand the power of the presidency, laying off government employees to cutting the size of the federal workforce, sending the National Guard to patrol U.S. cities, and trying to make changes in how U.S. colleges and universities operate. And so we can see tonight, Donald Trump is going too far, but the country is not going with him. The ABC News poll shows that Donald Trump has his worst polling numbers ever handling the economy, with 62% of Americans disapproving of how Trump is handling the economy. But polling indicates that even though Donald Trump has lied to every American every time he has described his tariffs, telling the lie that other countries pay those tariffs, even though Donald Trump has been pushing that lie for 10 years now, a majority of Americans know better. A majority of Americans know what tariffs are. A majority of Americans know that they and they alone pay the Trump tariffs.
Part 5. Mamdani's win is an incredible achievement, guys, in the face of all the obstacles he faced. The millions which were poured in and against him by the billionaires, even that couldn't save them. The energy, the victories, the clear rejection of Trump's fear-driven politics, it's all coming together beautifully, guys. Appreciate you as always for staying with me. Hit the like and subscribe button and comment. Stay connected, stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.